Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak once again. Peter Francis, I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Therapeutics, who hope to transform the lives of patients with retinal degenerative disease by restoring vision using our proprietary optogenetic platform. We have a bioengineered optogenetic medicine that has been optimized for human vision with the ability in preclinical models to restore higher visual functions without the need for any light-enhancing eyewear. We currently have two clinical stage assets, RTX-015 for retinitis pigmentosa and choroideremia, which is just completing phase 1/2 evaluation, and a newly opened IND for RTX-021 for Stargardt disease and eventually macular degeneration. We should be in the clinic by the end of this year with RTX-021. I think most people are now familiar with the optogenetic approach. Essentially, we have these, we're able to express using a gene therapy these therapeutic proteins on the cell surface that are normal channel proteins, but they're opened and closed by incoming photons of light. So if you express these in a neuron, you can generate an action potential in that neuron by exposing the neuron to light and thereby activating those optogenetic proteins. If we do this in the eye, in cells that remain in a retinal degeneration after you've lost your photoreceptors, then we can render those surviving neurons photosensitive and, in a way, mini photoreceptors, and they can transduce the light signal into an electrical signal that is then sent to the brain for vision. We were formed in 2021. We're delighted to have received more than $120 million of funding from leading venture capital companies listed here, and also would like to acknowledge the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine that have funded both of our programs into clinical stage evaluation. So here's a little bit more detail on where we are. RTX-015 entered the clinic about 9 months ago for retinitis pigmentosa, advanced form of the disease for which we think there are approximately 50,000 patients that may be eligible in the United States alone. More recently, we've started enrolling patients in the same study with choroideremia, and we're delighted with the response from the choroideremia community to entry into our study. As I mentioned, we have a second product, RTX-021, with a recently opened IND. We should be treating patients with Stargardt macular dystrophy, hopefully by the end of 2025. I gave a talk a few minutes ago about our Vision Research and Assessment Institute, which really has allowed us to evaluate our patients in the phase 1/2 environment from a visual function perspective and define better how we actually test patients with ultra-low vision and hopefully newly acquired optogenetically driven vision. And it's been instrumental to have this facility. It's allowed us to align with the agency at the earliest stages on what would be approvable endpoints to move forward into pivotal trial evaluation. And as I mentioned, we're also doing some work with VR technology to render these tests more amenable for tech transfer using commercially available goggle systems. So an update on the RTX-015 phase 1/2 for retinitis pigmentosa and choroideremia. This is a sequential enrollment phase 1/2 open label dose escalation studies with 3 therapeutic doses of RTX-015. It's a single eye treatment study. Enrollment has gone extremely well and very briskly, and now we're accumulating both safety and efficacy data. We're delighted with the safety of RTX-015 to start off with, and the tolerability has been outstanding. We are building up the efficacy data set, but suffice it to say that the patients are reporting very positive outcomes, and we're delighted with what we're seeing to the extent that we should be filing in short order an RMAT application to the FDA. This study enrolls patients with advanced vision loss. The doses vary between 6E10 to 2.5 E11. And the choroideremia patients, we've dosed our first choroideremia patient about a month or two back, initially at the mid dose. So very pleased with how this is actually proceeding. It's allowed us really now, enrollment being complete, to plan movement into later phase clinical development with a potentially pivotal registrational study, a randomized control trial that we hope to be beginning once again in short order. And finally, RTX-021. By the end of the year, we hope for the first patient to be treated. This should follow the same prospective design as our phase 1/2 for retinitis pigmentosa. RTX-021 is targeted towards a slightly different cell type, so it makes use of the very same optogenetic protein that's highly sensitive. In these patients with Stargardt disease and macular degeneration, they do have surviving bipolar cells, and so we have a proprietary highly expressing promoter that dictates expression of our optogenetic protein only in those on-bipolar cells that survive in the retinal degeneration. So we're hoping for macular vision restoration and higher order visual responses from these patients. So thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to future updates. And once again, thank you to the organizers.